on this Wednesday. Arrest has been made. They arrested 3, and now possibly more are coming as J.D. Vance spoke in Minneapolis today, and the DOJ vows to press charges after activists disrupts a church. We seen it a couple days ago, 3 days ago. Come on in. We got to talk. And what do I know about Don Lemon and why he has not been arrested, but he will? Well, come on in. We're going to discuss that. Welcome in my good friend, moderator Mike, Ken Big Fishin. Always good to see you, and JJ B-Ball too. We have a good one tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, sit down, get your popcorn, get your favorite beverage, because we will be discussing who the hell is, William Kelly arrested, and many, many more, as Pam Bondi has redeemed herself for me. We're going to talk about that, and also much, much more on this podcast on the Greenland situation. But J.D. Vance, who's been very quiet, he just sits back. He's a little different from Trump. He sits back, takes it in, and today he's in Minneapolis. We're going to cover that, but we're also going to cover it's out there viral right now, and the church, they interrupted. Even CNN panel, a majority of them, not all of them, are saying that Don Lemon or anybody that goes into a church. Ladies and gentlemen, what happened in church where people worship, there's hope, praying for illness, whatever you might do in church. It's one thing doing it on the sidewalks, one thing doing it outside the church. I'm against all of it, but many arrests. But why didn't Don Lemon, Ozzy Crosby, why didn't Don Lemon get arrested? Well, don't think that he's off. Don Lemon is in trouble. And I'm going to give you the reasons why they haven't pressed charges against Don Lemon in just a minute. I'm going to wait for more to come in, and then we're going to show this video. Now, think about when you see this. Viewer discretion advised, by the way. They went in to the church. We covered it. Chris Jean, welcome in from Canada. We showed some of it, and Don Lemon right now is not off the hook by far. Don Lemon's in deep trouble, and this guy, William Kelly, a lot of you might not know him. He is a agitator, big time. And this man right here, you see on my screenshot, this man right here, he actually said, come and get me. Come get me, Pam Bondi. Well, guess what? We got you. Now, this was in the church. This is what happened. And then you guys can give me your opinion and thoughts on this. This is inside the church. That him. This man right here. So these people, and there's more, guys. It's not much. I'm going to show you different views. These people. Now, Don Lemon says he didn't know. Ladies and gentlemen, come on in, like and subscribe if you haven't. Don Lemon, I quote, spoke live on his podcast. I want to just pause for a second and welcome in our moderators and Ozzy Ray, our members, big sponsorships. Don Lemon says he didn't know about it, but prior to this, they asked him, did he know about the protesters going in and what's his thoughts on Mark Kelly? He goes, well, and he followed them in. So he lied. But why is he not held responsible? I promise you, I will tell you what I just heard 1 hour ago, and you can take it what it is, guys, but you won't believe it why he has not been arrested. But let's listen in a little bit more of the chaos in this church, Minnesota ICE official pastor.
We have a duty to win. Justice for our immigrant neighbors. Justice for Renee Good.
They went into this church. These people, possibly Democrats, possible Republicans, on a Sunday, worshiping God. Now, the biggest reason, what I heard, why Don Lemon has not been pressed charges and why the judge has blocked it. You ready? Are you ready? Well, get ready. Because of the prosecutor, family member of Don Lemon, a very well respected prosecutor, has pretty much involved herself in the situation with Don Lemon. Ladies and gentlemen, he will get prosecuted. Now, if he's indicted, and by the way, William Kelly, these guys are facing possibly up to max 10 years. Yes or no? I mean, think about this, guys. They went into the church. Don Lemon went in, turned off the mics, and then turned them on at church, along with Mark Kelly and many more. There was at least 3 arrested today. J.D. Vance, who's been very quiet on this, has voiced his opinion. And by the way, I want to bring everybody up to date. Are you ready for this? So far, there's 100,000 illegals in Minneapolis. They have arrested, ready for this? 10,000. 10,000. Now, there's been a 10%, ladies and gentlemen, stay with me, please. 10% have left on their own. So tell me that ICE is not working. And by the way, the 5-year-old little boy that they're using, that's all the Democrats are running on. The Democrats, in my opinion, are running on hope. They were running on, first they were running on Epstein, right? But now Epstein kind of just, went away. And I don't mean go away. Those women need justice. But back to this topic. They hope, the biggest hope right now is ICE. ICE murdered, ICE this, ICE that. They have nothing else to do. They have no agenda. They have no way to improve the economy. They admitted that they're going to continue to open up the borders. And Donald Trump's worried about midterms because he stated today that majority of the presidents who get elected in for a second time, they end up losing. I don't like what Trump said. I want to say positive. 24 is going to be the number. I want everybody to save this video because I'm telling you right now, we will win the House, keep the Senate, and continue to fight. And I don't mean physically fight, but fight for justice and common sense. Ladies and gentlemen, they went into this church. Anybody who goes into a church do not worship and sit down and pray, but to call chaos. It's one thing going into the church, and maybe walking out. For me, that's a crime. No, they stayed and stayed and stayed. Let's listen a little bit more before I go any farther. I would appreciate one big thing tonight. Like and subscribe. If we can break a record tonight of 678 likes, my goodness. I tell you, good things are happening here. We're just a small little news channel here that helps out the homeless when we can. But this is nuts. Let's listen a little bit more of this 3 days ago as the DOJ, Pam Bondi, to the press, charges after activists disrupt a church, where Minnesota ICE officials and a pastor.
Good. Renee Good.
Renee Good, they're saying.
Renee Good.
Do we support this? Do we support this in church? What's going to be next? Ladies and gentlemen, what's going to be next? Are they going to go into a hospital where people are getting surgery and people are ill? Are they going to go into a hospital and say Renee Good and ICE? Is that going to be next? Interfere with the surgery and physicians? We got to put a stop to this. I mean, think about it. Even fake news Democrats, for one time in their life, have said that draws the line. Well, they know it's common sense. It draws the line. What was this guy thinking? And he's telling Pam Bondi, come after me. I want to be arrested. Well, you got arrested, and you might be serving some time. It could be 5 to 10 years. And Don Lemon is not off the hook. So for those who read the New York Post and everything, that Don Lemon is off the hook, no, he is far from off the hook. Okay? So as soon as they figure out who this prosecutor that he knows and they overrule it, he will get charges. This is a weak man. And I said this last night. I would love Don Lemon to go into a biker's bar or a Hell's Angel. I would love him to go to Alabama, Staten Island, South Philly. Go to some of these cities and try that shit. this is sad. These people, a lot of these people, all they want is going to church and pray. Yeah, maybe they're praying for ICE agents to stay. Maybe they're praying for ICE agents to leave. But most of them are there because of they believe in God and they have, they go there. They go there, release stress. This is not right. This is not right. Let's listen a little bit more.
Go shoot! Go shoot!
Look at these people praying.
Go shoot!
Look at this guy.
Go shoot! Go shoot!
Interrupt prayers.
Go shoot! Go shoot! Go shoot! Ice out! Ice out! Ice out! Ice out!
In the name of Jesus!
Ice out! Ice out! Ice out! Ice out!
In the name of Jesus!
Ice out! Ice out! Ice out!
And ladies and gentlemen, this went on for almost the whole service. Where the hell was the police? Where the hell was the police? Are you kidding me?
Out! Ice out! Ice out! Ice
Look at this. They're trying to look at this man. Look at this young man. Got the Bible out, trying to pray. He could be a Democrat, he could be a Republican, whatever. These young people, elderly people in church, and guess what? They finally got him. I told you guys, and I'm going to tell you something right now. There's going to be so many more arrested. More and more will be held responsible and will go to prison. Not to overnight jail. Not with a misdemeanor. Not for a year. But 5 to 10 years. Okay? This is some serious stuff. And again, if you're just coming in, thank you for being here. The Democrats are running on nothing. The Democrats' hope is for a distraction and have ICE. This is what they're running on. These Democrats encourage this. We talked about it last night, right? We talked about it last night. So what this is, guys, it's called the FACE Act. It was implemented in 1994. The FACE, F-A-C-E, FACE Act. It's a federal law to not enter church of any kind. Anybody who goes into church will be dealt with. And guess what? They use bad judgments. This man right here, this piece of shit is arrested along with this woman, and soon to come, in my opinion, real soon, Mr. Don Lemon. Don Lemon says, well, I'm a gay black man. So what? So what? It doesn't matter if you're a gay black man, Italian, a hillbilly, a Puerto Rican. You don't do this. Bad judgments. They have lost their mind. I promise you we'll read comments in a little bit. I like to get into the video a little bit. But once again, this is crazy. William Kelly. Look him up. He's not a good man. He's an agitator. Could be getting 10 years in prison. So the judge, excuse me, I was incorrect. I apologize. The judge is married to the prosecutor of Don Lemon's family member. So the judge is married. So that's why the judge has blocked the DOJ for going forward at the moment. Okay. So the ringleader, I got more to tell you. You guys want to hear more? There's a ringleader, okay, out there. Her name is Amy. I think it's Amy Bock, B-O-C-K. Who is she? Amy Bock is sitting in jail in March of 2025. What's this got to do with this? She is testifying under oath in jail. I'm sure she's trying to get a lighter sentence to come out publicly and say Tim Walz was 100%, folks, involved in Minnesota fraud. He was taking the top of donations back through COVID relief. So he will also be in prison, allegedly, if they can prove these crimes and her testify. Once again, her name is Amy Bock, B-O-C-K. She was like the ringleader of the food for children, along with Ian Omar. Oh, we're going to get to Ion Omar, so stay tuned to this live. We're going to talk about her and the money she made. So $250 million scamming, paid for making meals for kids. So this money, the $250 million, they received it and did send nothing to the kids, nothing to the American kids. They pocket the money. We're going to talk more about that towards the end of our podcast, our broadcast. But here we go, a little bit more of the church chaos. This is church. Look at that woman there. That is sad, folks.
Diagnosed with
That
Crohn's disease
is
and
breaks my
struggling with your
heart.
symptoms,
This
it's
is
not
what
too
these
soon to talk to
Democrats
your
are doing
doctor,
around
right?
the world right now. By the way, we have an active protest going on right now in Las Vegas. Why am I not there? There's only like 10 or 20. We have a governor who's a Republican. He's not going to put up with it. He let them go. He let their group go to about 100 here in Las Vegas. He says, off the streets. That's what we do in the red states. He let them go. Most of them are young right here. That's why I'm not there, because there's only a few of them. Hold on. I'm going to get another feed here.
All righty. Good evening.
Top stories that we have been following for you is from this.
Going to show this one more time for the viewers who are just coming in. We're going to show this one more time, the DOJ in this church. This guy right here. This will be the last time that he goes into a church for at least 10 years. Unless he goes into church to pray and give forgiveness. And that'll probably be 10 years. Who is this man? William Kelly. He was arrested today and booked on charges of the FACE Act on a federal law, protects the worship. And Don Lemon is also guilty. They got in the face with pastors and people there who are praying and worshiping God. And I got to say, the more I watch this and more we talk about it, it upsets me to be an American. It really does. But not for long, because Donald Trump, folks, he has not put up with this shit anymore. He has had enough. And even J.D. Vance, the vice president, soon to be possibly a president, is very quiet. It's been very quiet. But today we're going to watch in a little bit. He spoke. And you can hear the sadness in his voice. You can also hear the anger in our Vice President J.D. Vance on these horrific acts. You know, and once again, folks, if they want to protest, I don't like protests. That's my opinion. If you want to protest and get your point across, I think you did. You want to go outside the church, I don't like it. Okay. But to go inside the doors that are open for people to go in, have peace, pray to God, have illness, and have been interrupted by this piece of shit, this guy here. And Don Lemon is turning it around. And by the way, Don Lemon will get it. So don't think he won't, guys. He will not get away with it. Nobody is above the law. Nobody. Not the president, not the vice president, not me, not you. If you do these acts, you will be dealt with. This was a horrible event. And I think, you know what, folks? I think he thought he'd get away with it. He probably said, you know what? I'm too strong. I'm too good. I'm too good looking. I'm getting my point across. And guess what? No. Pam Bondi. For me, guys, I've called out Pam Bondi a few times on here, right? She might have redeemed herself to go ahead and press charges on 3 of them today and many more to come. I believe there's going to be at least maybe up to 100 arrests. There were so many. I mean, we're just seeing a little bit of it. There were so many who went into this church and corrupted this. I'm going to continue for the viewers who are just coming in. Thank you for the 57 likes. Once again, my name is Sal. If you're new to the channel, We've been covering the ongoing chaos of Minneapolis and other states and protests, riots, whatever you want to call them, agitators. We've been seeing it. But today, on this Thursday, this man's been arrested and Don Lemon is getting close. The only reason for the new viewers, one more time, the judge is married to a prosecutor who's a family member of Mr. Don Lemon. And you know what? It won't fly because they will be put down too. If they figure out they're blocking it because of that, and it's one thing blocking it because they haven't had a video of him in the church. But folks, we've seen Don Lemon in the church. We've seen him go in. And he says he wasn't aware. He says, well, I wasn't aware they were in service. Are you kidding me? You're telling me, folks, do you believe what I just said? That Don Lemon, what was he going to do? Go into the church and pray? He says, I didn't know there was a service. I apologize. I'm a black gay man. Why are you hurting on me? Because you were wrong, Don Lemon. You were wrong. Look at that lady. She'll get it. By the way, did you see a lot of empty seats? Did you see some empty seats? Those people were scared. Okay? People were scared. I mean, I don't know about you guys. It's going to come to a point where we have to bring our friend. We might bring protection, if you know what I mean, for YouTube, that we might have to bring our friend, Mike, into church. Imagine that in 25, that we go to church and you have to bring a weapon to protect yourself. So these people left. They left. They left. They were scared. Like, oh my God, who are these people? Are they actually coming in to God's house? Are they actually coming in? Are they coming in right now in the middle of a mass? Are you kidding me? And they thought they'd get away with it. They thought they'd get away with it. I'll play this out one last time for the viewers that are just coming in a little late.
We have a duty to win.
This is outside.
Renee Good.
By the way, folks, real quick, if I could, I'm going to go a little farther. Did you see him outside the church? I said, even if they're outside the church, the loud voice of going into the church, in my opinion, they probably should have charges against them too. At least a misdemeanor. That's an interruption. That's an interruption. So I don't want to hear this bullshit. They went too far. You know it. I know it. Democrats know it. Republicans know it. All of us know they went too damn far. And they're doing this because of a weak governor, Tim Walz, weak government, Gavin Newsom, weak governors in a lot of these blue states, and enough's enough. I just said tonight, they reported on the local news. I live in Las Vegas. They have some protests going on right now as we speak. Most of them between 18 to 24, calmly protesting. Our governor says, we'll let it go. But as soon as we see a crowd more than 100, and guess what? He's a Republican. You know what he said? Oh, he's Italian too. And I've called him out too. He said, we're not going to put it up with it over here in Las Vegas. We're not going to go on and we're going to let the ICE agents do their job in Las Vegas. So it's very thin, maybe 15 people. Because that's the difference between a run, common sense, red state Republican versus this Nazi, you want to say Nazi, I don't know what the hell you call it on the left. And for anybody to say this is okay, you better look yourself in the mirror and really think about what you just said. It's not okay. Whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, I don't judge. Or you don't like church. It doesn't matter. Okay? This is the law. This is the this was the law. It was signed into law. It should have been signed in a long time, but 1994, not you dare go into any church, whether it's Baptist, LDS, Jewish, Catholic, Jehovah's Witness, you do not go in and interrupt a mass. I don't care if you walk in and yell out and scream. It's a crime. But they didn't just yell out and scream, Renee, good, Renee, good, and it's yelled and pushed and chaos. All right, I'm going to read comments and we'll show this maybe. I know I said we'll show it one more time. I'm going to sit down. We're going to turn the light on. So bear with me 1 second. One second, guys. And we're going to talk. We must talk. And then we're going to show J.D. Vance. All right, if you're just coming in to the broadcast, once again, if you're new, my name is Sal. It's upsetting to me that it came to this. It came to this in Minneapolis. And if Pam Bondi and the DOJ and President Donald Trump doesn't arrest these people, which they did, and they'll be facing 5 to 10 years, probably on the high side of 10. If we didn't do this, then they're going to continue to go into churches, and I say hospitals. They will next go into a hospital. You know, maybe it'll be an ICE agent they think is there. Maybe it'll be somebody like me with a hat on with Trump or ICE, and they're going to ram into a hospital, Ken Big Fishin'. They will run into a hospital, and they'll have chaos, and somebody will lose their life. So we got to put a stop to it, folks. Once again, if you're just coming in, let me read something here. So first of all, Don Lemon, a judge is married to one of the prosecutors on this case. How'd that happen? And I state that's why the judge has blocked Mr. Don Lemon. But he's not out of the wood. Donald Trump, Pam Bondi are still looking into it. I would be very surprised. I would say by tomorrow, Don Lemon will need an attorney. And he'll be held responsible. He did the same thing. He actually went even farther. He actually went to the pastor and put the mic right in his face. We covered that. If you want to see it again, put 1 in the chat and I will show it. I know a lot of us have seen it, but if you want to see it again, I can show that. Don Lemon went in there. He's saying he wasn't aware. We got some ones. All right, so maybe we'll show it again. Don Lemon says he wasn't aware that there was a service. He apologizes publicly, but he says, you know, why are you picking on me? I'm just a gay black man. We don't care. We don't care if you're gay, right? We don't care if you're black. We don't care if you're white. We don't care if you're Italian. It doesn't matter. You were wrong. Just because you worked on CNN and lost your job and now you're an independent journalist, you can go in there? No. If I went in there, I'd be arrested. Even if I went in there to broadcast Donald Trump, I would be arrested, and I should be arrested. I should. If anybody, independent journalist, news, goes into a church without any kind of approval, you will be dealt with. Don Lemon is nobody. Okay? That goes for anybody. A Republican, Democrat, president, I don't care. If it was Donald Trump, well, he would never do that. Should be dealt with. Okay, now, on other news, this is coming in as we, before I come in. Ready for this? Her name is Amy. It's spelled A-I-M-E. Bock, B-O-C-K. She was the ringleader of this food for kids, food for children during the COVID years, along with Ilhan Omar. And she's speaking from jail. She's been convicted of March of 25, just last year, of the fraud that she admitted. She found guilty that she took the money, and they were asking her, well, who else was involved? She said, well, number 1, Ilhan Omar. Okay, who else? Well, they asked her about the mayor. She says, no comment, Mayor Fried. Okay. But he said, was the governor Tim Walz, was he involved? She was absolutely. He was involved. And we're talking about fraud now. And Tim Walz is in some big trouble, folks. And once again, The Democrat Party are running on hope. They're running on nothing. The only thing they have hope for is that they can run on ICE and pick on a little 5-year-old. They said that ICE is going into schools and taking out children in kindergarten, that they're pulling people out of their house and women that are pregnant. No. Now, I'm going to read some numbers. That's not the case. Trust me, it's not the case. Okay? So, right now, there was 100,000 1 year ago. Everybody stay with me. 1 year ago, there's been 100,000 illegal aliens in Minneapolis. They have arrested right now 10,000. They're doing their job. 10% have left. They went back to their countries, right? So they're doing their job. Let them continue to keep Minneapolis safe so people can go into church, people can run a business, Democrats can run a business, Republican. Let it go back so we can have a simple life. That's all we're asking for. We got enough problems right now on our homegrown and sickness. We have enough problems with our families. We have enough problem trying to pay bills. We have enough problems, dealing with our stress. To worry about these murders and these rapists. And they're using a 5-year-old, and hasn't been anything out there that the ICE agents are going after and arresting these kids. You know that, and I know that. That's what the Democrats are running on, ladies and gentlemen. That's their hope. First was Epstein. Well, we see where that ended up at, right? You know what they did? They put Bill Clinton with all the women, right? And, of course, Trump. They were running on Epstein. Well, that kind of fell apart. And it shouldn't fall apart. People should be held responsible. But we're going to move on to today's topic. So now they're running on the Renee Good, who was shot because she interfered with her vehicle, which is a weapon. We talked about it many times. May she rest in peace. Bad judgment. And I'm also hearing that the wife might be getting charges against her. Just like I said, all you guys know that the wife could have prevented that. She was an agitator. And that's what they're running on. The Democrats are running on hope for ICE so they can win the midterms. It's not going to work, ladies and gentlemen. We will continue with common sense and continue to keep the Senate, win the House, 12 seats, 24 seats. They have no hope because people on both sides see exactly what's going on. Just like when Donald Trump won on a landslide, they seen open borders. The Democrats were fed up. Republicans were fed up. Independents, I was upset. You were upset. Democrat family members of mine were upset. We can't have it. We won't have it. And that's why Donald Trump won. And the economy is better. There's hardly any inflation. Our country's a lot safer with Donald Trump. And once again, sure, there is 1% of ICE agents that use bad judgments. That wasn't the case. Sure, there's one bad police officer, maybe two. Sure, there's one bad physician. Sure, there's one bad this, that, whatever. Absolutely. But this is not the case. Not at all. Okay, I'm going to get into some comments, and then I promise you I'll show Don Lemon again. In fact, what I'll do, I'll go ahead and get that all set up, and you guys can get ready for your comments. Let me just show you Don Lemon. We covered this the other day. Don Lemon. Don Lemon in church. He says, oh, I didn't know it was a service. Whoops. What am I doing here? Give me a few seconds here. I'm a little bit slow tonight. All right, here we go. All right. I found it. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. What's this? Oh, this is something I haven't seen. Oh, here we go. All right. So this is Don Lemon in Easterwood at Minneapolis in front of the pastor. A lot of us already seen it, but we're going to show it one or two more times. Here we go. So there's Don Lemon who says he didn't know there was a service. He didn't know there was people in the church.
What do you think of this? I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
but listen, we live in there's a Constitution and the First Amendment.
All right. Is that church, guys? Yes or no in the chat? Do you see? That's a church, right? I can stop it right here, but I won't. I promise I'll show it. It's not long. Right there, he's guilty. He's guilty. He's guilty. So this judge who blocked it today, guess what? He could be in big trouble too. I haven't thought about it. The judge should be held. This judge who blocked it, he's in the church. He doesn't matter. He didn't hit him. Don Lemon didn't hit him. Folks, don't miss the point. It's a church to me. Now look.
To freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest. We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me.
We're here. We're here to worship Jesus. That's why we're here. Okay, that's why we're here. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
no
Christian?
one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave from this building.
You don't want us to.
Unless you're here to worship. Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to.
Ladies and gentlemen, Don Lemon should be and will be arrested. No judge should block this. This is what this country came to. He will be arrested. Thank you, Mike, for being here. Thank you so much, Mike. All right, so this was... here. I was looking for this the other night. I missed it. You ready? This is more of Don Lemon, of this Democrat, liberal. Let's listen into this. This is a good one, too. Hold on. Your hair on your back's going to stand up on this.
Now, Lemon's claiming he was just there doing journalism, but after the so-called demonstration forced parishioners to flee the church, Lemon appeared on a far-left podcast, and he got his own shots in, just like he did in that Akers report. Take a look.
I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time, my producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America, and you have a platform, and you're the biggest name. Of course you're going to be the person that they single out, and they're going to make the headline because it plays to their base, and their base is full of racist, bigoted homophobes.
All right, it's about race, it's about homophobia, it's about...
Did you hear him? I'm a gay black man. Don Lemon, that's not going to fly. There's a lot of gay black men. There's a lot of gay white men, Hispanic people. That's not what this is about. Okay? He used a bad judgment. You see how the Democrats, the radical far left, turn it around? Right now, that's what he's going to defend. He's going to tell the judge, the new judge, a fair judge, that I'm sorry, I was a gay black man. Sorry, I went in there. I didn't know that there was service, but I'm gay and I'm black and I got fired from CNN and I'm a piece of shit. But I was hoping I can hear some answers on why ICE and people are praying are not having ICE agents come here. Why? Has he lost his mind, folks? Has he lost his mind? He will be held responsible for these. This is a crime. And, it's called the FACE Act, F-A-C-E, a FACE Act that was implemented in 1994. It's a federal law. It protects worship enforcement, and Don Lemon is just as guilty as William Kelly and the other two that are arrested. And it doesn't matter if you're black or white or whoever you are, you don't do that. And finally, I said it, I want to see arrests. And we are seeing arrests made. We are starting to see it. And I'm telling you right now, folks, mark my words, Tim Walz will be arrested. Not for going into the church. Tim Walz didn't go into the church, just for YouTube. I'm not saying that. But on his, actually for him speaking out and saying this is a war crime on national TV, and for him to agitate the protesters, that is a crime. Two, fraud allegations. He admitted that he knew about the fraud. And this woman, I just said, Amy Bach, why am I having pronouncing Bach, who's in jail. She was the ringleader of the food assistance through the COVID years. She's coming out and saying that Tim Walz was involved. He's gone, folks. We're finally going to see some of these Democrats be responsible for their action with fraud and hate. It's one thing calling Trump Hitler and dictator. It upsets me. It upsets a lot of you. But it's another thing going into church and continue these riots and, on Renee Good. And none of these people don't care about Renee Good. Think about this. They don't care. They're paid protesters. They think they're above the law, and they're using this because the Democrats are using these people. By the way, the Democrats, you think they care about William Kelly? You think they care about Don Lemon? No. They're just using them because they want to turn this all around. So they think that people are actually going to vote in 28 and midterms before and think, oh, forget about the economy that's better now than ever. Forget about closing the border. Forget about people that are raped and murdered. No, people are too smart for that. There's going to be a few. We've seen them. But those few is not going to win over America. Trust me. They have lost touch. If you're new to the channel, please consider a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the broadcast. People are too smart. Sure, you have some young people that are hypnotized, and I feel bad because the young people, they really believe that the immigrants are here illegal, that not doing these crimes. By the way, that's breaking the law. They should be sent back, right? Yes or no? But they feel sorry. They think because some of them are here as a student that they're gonna. I get some of the young people, but it's not gonna. It's very few. It seems like a lot. We will continue to win America. It's not about winning for Donald Trump or Marco Rubio or J.D. Vance, whoever the next candidate. It's about saving America, ladies and gentlemen. And more they do this, going into churches and chaos and tearing down businesses and acting like, I don't know what the words I can even think of to say, acting like children, acting like craziness, the more they're going to lose. The more they're going to lose. I was going to say let them do it, but I don't want them to do it. We don't want that. It's not an American way. It's not. Not at all. It's funny, though, how they turn things around. Now, here was Donald Trump on Don Lemon. This was Donald Trump on Don Lemon.
Why do I
About
take
4
Tagrisso?
seconds.
Tagrisso, I can make pancake.
All right. Trump is so aggravated right now, folks. Trump is trying to keep it all together. And people say, why does he cuss? Why does he have bad body language? This stuff.
A Sunday church service is now under investigation by the Justice Department.
An Office of ICE, the Justice Department says it is investigating the incident, saying protesters violated the FACE Act. That law prohibits intimidating or interfering with people's rights to practice their faith. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has already responded, saying any violations of the law will be prosecuted, adding, quote, attacks against law enforcement and the intimidation of Christians are being met with full force of federal law.
Good for her.
Peaceful protests took place outside the federal Whipple building just yesterday. Around midday, no federal officers were spotted outside. However, Hennepin County Sheriff's deputies were on hand. We've also learned the Veterans Affairs Office in the Whipple building is temporarily closing.
Guess what? William Kelly, I'm going to find footage of him. He says, come get me. He says, come get me. He told Pam Bondi. He said her name. Pam Bondi. Come get me. Well, they got him today. You got your wish, my friend. You will be in jail, prison. Good luck with that. 10 years maybe, max. 10 years. So you asked for it, you got it. And the other ones, you asked for it, you got it. You broke the law, and now look, you're finished. Your reputation, well, his reputation was gone already. Yeah, this is, it's really crazy on how they really think that they can get away with this. And they really think, these radicals, left, and these agitators think they are above the law. They think that they can do anything they want, and just be okay with Donald Trump as president. Donald Trump's the president, and J.D. Vance the vice president. They really think they can get away with this? I don't think so. I don't think so. You want to go on your little website, you want to have a little YouTube or Facebook and go out there and speak your whatever you want to do, that's one thing. But to go, and break it, basically broke into a church, right? They broke in, they just opened the door, they didn't go there to pray. They went there to interrupt, and that's breaking the law. And that's that, folks. And I want to see more go down. I want to see these other people that you see their faces as well. I want to see more go. I want to see more. I want to see more arrest. So here was, hey, Whiskey Tango, thank you so much. This was about a couple hours ago where the federal agents arrested Minnesota activists. Here, let's see this. This is something I want to show you here. So here was the arrest taking place right here. Hold on one second. Wait till you see this.
I can't even get fucking tacos right now because of you. I can't even get tacos, and it's bigger than that. That just goes to show how serious this shit is. I'm not even eating. I'm not going to the gym right now. And I'm here. I'm here for my fucking community. I'm here every fucking day. And you will see me every fucking day. Also, how you know how to properly ask for help to get into a place, but when you go to a hospital, yeah, you fucking dumbass.
They will come find you, hunt you down, and arrest you. So if you're just coming in,
we don't want you here. We don't want.
It was a good day in a sense of these people getting charged.
Here we go again.
For going into a church, interfering in worship, and finally Pam Bondi. For me, she's redeemed herself, and these people will be put behind. They'll be in prison for a long, long time.
And in some national news, agents with the Department of Homeland Security arrested people they allege were part of anti-ICE protests disrupting a church service on Sunday. Protesters claiming one of the pastors there leads the local field off.
We got you. We got you, lady. You want to interfere? She don't look too happy now, does she? Huh? She don't look too happy now, does she? Oh, she was happy when they broke into the church, huh? She didn't look too happy, does she? Nope. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I used bad judgment. Nope. Not going to fly on this. Nope.
While in Minneapolis on Thursday.
Oh, this man here. So this guy, I encourage everybody, William Kelly, you know, look at him. This man right here. Okay? Right here. He went into the church. He started calling out Renee Good, Renee Good, Renee Good, bad language in church. And he says, come and get me. Pam Bondi, come get me. Arrest me. Well, you got arrested, my friend. And you will be held responsible for your action. This man right here and that lady you just seen. And if you're just coming in, my name is Sal. Shout out to the moderators for being here tonight. Mike and Janine and Maribel. I appreciate the moderators. If I missed any of the moderators, I apologize. Welcome all new subscribers. Welcome in loyal subscribers. And once again, thank you all memberships. William Kelly arrested. And for those who might have read a report today that Don Lemon would not be held responsible or it was blocked by a judge, it's not a done deal, okay? The judge is married to a prosecutor of a family member of Mr. Don Lemon. Don Lemon was a CNN panel for a couple years. He was fired. I forget why he was fired. He's now an independent journalist. He'll also be held in charge, I'm sure, days to come, if not hours. The DOJ is taking down these bad guys and bad women who are breaking the law, interfering with ICE agents, interfering with churches, interfering and breaking the law, period. And that's what you have. And I'm happy.
The vice president said the administration is going to go after those protests, quote, with every single tool it has. All of this as ICE officials defend a memo showing agents are forcing their way into people's homes without search warrants.
There you go, J.D. Vance. In fact, we're going to listen into J.D. Vance, our vice president.
Hello?
This is Evil Bill with Big Bank. You didn't pay your debts and you owe us money.
Sorry, I'm struggling.
We will be listening.
I want to pay, but I can't.
You owe money.
We're going to bring up J.D. Vance today because he came out. He's been a little bit quiet, which the vice president normally just sits back, right? But he's been on, and we're going to hear J.D. Vance on his thoughts in just a bit. Welcome in everybody on this Thursday. I'm going to pull out some comments, and then let me just get this all ready for us, and then we're going to go ahead and all right, hold on one second.
Last time I was in Minneapolis, it was
okay. We're going to get to J.D. Vance in a few minutes. I just want to pull out some comments. Hey, welcome in. Let's see what we got. We got welcome in Watt. Trump. Thank you for putting the American flag. I see people. Well, I'm not even going to bring it up right now. I'll bring that up in a little bit. Let me stick to the comments here. Thank you for putting in the American flag. I was just going to say real quickly, I see people are still putting the Epstein files. I see people putting, look, that was their hope. Don't blame these trolls or people putting in the don't blame them. This is the last hope for the Democrat to win the House and the presidency. They have nothing else to run on. Do you think the Democrats are running on a new agenda? Do you think the Democrats are running on making American great, making American common sense? Do you think they're working on helping out food assistance for people who need it, Medicaid programs? Do you think so? Do you think they're working on a better health care? Do you think they're working on keeping our borders closed? Do you think they're working on cheaper gas prices? Do you think they're working on taking poison out of America and capturing a dictator, Maduro? You think they're working on taking out nukes? Do you think the Democrats would think about Greenland? By the way, for those who don't understand Greenland, it's security. And think about this. I believe, in my opinion, I can't believe no other presidents have done this because it's common sense. You have Greenland, you have national security, and we wouldn't had a Russia-Ukraine war. And that's that. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. It protects, and Europe wants it. Everybody thinks that J.D. Vance and President Donald Trump hates Europe. No, they don't. Not at all. All right, let me read some comments. It's sad to see these presidents we had. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. I'll pull some comments out that has some common sense in here. He is the best chess player ever. He really is. Thank you for putting that in there. He is a chess player. I've said this multiple times. Well, a lot of us have said this. Not just me. A lot of people said he's a chess player. Sounds like ICE is outside. You hear them? They're here, Ozzy. Did you hear the police car? ICE is here in Vegas. We do have a small... we have ICE here. We do have a small protest happening in Vegas. Shout out to anybody who's saying hi. Thank you. Right back to you. Once again, if you're coming in, you see the title, many arrests. They finally got him. It's happening. We have a president who cares, and nobody's above the law. Hey, well, want to welcome in Paul. How you doing, Paul? Good to see you, my friend, and thank you for all your support. Thank you for all my loyal subscribers. Make sure you have all notifications. Hopefully you get lucky and you know when these lives are coming in. I can't control the YouTube algorithm or the, but if you have all of the notifications, you should be notified. But I like that comment, chess. Trump's on top. Trump's working as we speak. Trump's working right now, you know. He doesn't sleep much. Don, you're saying Don arrested real soon, my friend, real soon. Real soon. Because he went into the church. And even if he didn't put the mic to the pastor, which was 100% wrong, he'll still be arrested. So. Oh, real quickly, too. You know, Trump's been asking what's wrong with his hand. He said it. He's had to take a blood thinner. You know, when you get old, even me, you bump yourself on something. But right away, they're going to say that Trump is sick. He's got a little bruise. Get the hell out of here. They have nothing, folks, on making America better again. Or you know, being unique or different from Trump and helping us out. If they did that, I would go like this. Okay, I wouldn't vote, but I'd be like, okay, they got my attention. Maybe they'll get other attention. They don't. They'll just say he's sick, ICE agents, all this bullshit. Oh, I wanted to talk about, all right, let me read comments, and then I'm going to talk about Ion Omar. We're going to talk about how the hell does she come up, how does she get $30 million? How the hell does she get $30 million? Well, wait a minute. Maybe she got it because she married her brother. How does she get $30 million? Well, they're going to ask her that. Show us your bank accounts. What happened? How did you make that kind of money? She's better not saying anything. If I was her attorney, shut up. You know? But she, man, she's going to be sent back. That's another thing. Omar. She got rich on fraud. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. $30 million. Meals Act. This was called the Meals Act. Another COVID scam. Meals Act. Now, I'm all for, you hear, ICE. I'm all for a Meals Act, but how about we take that money and give it to our American people? Well, I'm hearing now that she took that money, gave it to some of the Somali community, and kept it all for herself. Well, folks, that's how she got the $30 million. And then, let's be honest, this is what goes on. Governor Walz says, hey, I'm the governor here. Aren't you illegal? Trust me. And she says, stutters. Wait a minute, what do I get? And, oh, you want some money? Yes, I want money. This is when he was running for vice president. Scary, right? This is when he was going to be the vice president of the United States of America because they thought they were going to win, but they didn't. Thank God they didn't win. This was a man who couldn't speak. You know why he couldn't speak? He knew he was committing fraud. Why did Kamala Harris pick him? Because he was begging her, and the Democrats are saying, holy shit, this guy really did this. We got to have him as vice president. We got to cover this up. This is huge stuff. And again, I'll use the words allegedly. If this comes in and they find out and invest Tim Walz, he'll go to jail too. More than jail. He'll be in prison as well. But that's what happened. He came to her and said, whoa. How are you driving this nice car? Wow. Where are you getting this money at? And she probably said, well, don't you remember Meals Act through COVID? And he probably said, oh, yeah, I do remember. Well, wait a minute. How come I didn't get any? You think he said the right thing? And did you get the people did you give that money to the American people? No. Did you give it to me? Did you give it to me and my wife and my family? No, she gave some to the Somali community, and then they took that money and they sent that money to Dubai to avoid taxes, to Dubai, to Somalia, and the rest is history. She's making $30 million, and she's still saying that she did not, that she put the money into a trust fund and the money went out. We had to have certain procedures. People had to sign up for this Meals Act and COVID relief money, unemployment money. A lot of states broke the law, by the way. Lots of states. And they're going to come down on mostly the blue states and the corruption on these Democrat presidents like Gavin Newsom, another one who wants to be the president of the United States of America. Are you kidding me? All right. What we got here? All will be exposed. Thank you. Who put that in there? Paul? All will be exposed. But not, I'm going to go a little farther, Paul. Not only Paul. Hey, I just want to welcome in Paul real quick, everybody. Our newest member a couple days ago, the Benny, a supporter on this channel. Welcome in and congratulations for your membership. I remember it was a couple nights ago. Thank you. Paul, I'm going to go a little farther, Paul. Not just exposed. I'm sick of the exposed, Paul. I want to see handcuffs. If they can find evidence. You know, you're always innocent. They're innocent. Tim Walz is still innocent. My eyes, he's guilty on other things, but he's still innocent. I want to see handcuffs. And I said this, if you're new, everybody's asking me, is Donald Trump the best president ever? Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Sorry, guys. Not yet. He will be the best president when I see he's getting there with all these arrests today. Once I see Don Lemon, okay, that's better. I'm still not satisfied. Once I see one governor arrested, nope, he's still not the best. Once I see Newsom, Chicago piece of shit, that piece of shit who came to Las Vegas and won millions of dollars and said he gave it to a charity. Once I see 2 governors, 3 governors in handcuffs, he's the best. He'll be the best. If George Washington, the best. Abraham Lincoln, the best. If they ran against Trump right now, he'd win. Once I see, not just exposed, Paul, everybody else in here, I want to see they're being exposed. I want to see a lot of arrests, Richard, who's also a member and a big supporter, along with many on here. Thank you so much for all your support to continue these live streams. We appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. We're just a small YouTube channel. And we continue to continue bringing out the facts. And he's most recently what's going on with all the fraud allegations in the church and the riots and the chaos and the agitators. But most importantly, thank you for all your support for those who are supporting the homeless here in Las Vegas. I'm happy to say that we've got about 4 more people today fed. And we got 1 into some assistance, nonprofit. Some want to go into nonprofit assistance and some don't. So anyhow, I just wanted to share that with those who are new and confused on here. We do help out. Plenty of shorts, driving around and just helping out people with food when we can. So we certainly, we could not do it without you guys. It's not on notice on behalf of me and my family here. And we're not going to stop bringing homeless awareness. If you not only support this channel, support other YouTube channels that are doing the same thing, that, that are not any kind of AI generated. I don't think they are. Support them when you can too, and show them a like and give them some support. It's a great thing. There's struggling people out there, American people, Democrats, Republicans, and gay and white, and go on and so forth, who are dealing with a lot of mental illness. And I'll also put Trump as the very best, and he said he will help out. He's got a lot to do, but that's got to be up on the top 3 list. You guys agree? And helping out mental illness and getting more physicians on board and doctors and psychiatrists, and just see what we can do. As Ozzy would say, and many others, all we can do is try, us, the president, and try to get these people off the streets. I don't think anybody should be out there. We need to do much more on that as well. All right, I'm going to get into some more comments real quick that makes some kind of sense. All right, what we got here? Release the Clinton. What was that? Release what? Release the Clinton files now. Hey, welcome in, Sean. Look, as far as the files go, I'm not going to get into the files, but DOJ and Donald Trump has put it out there. They fumbled the ball a few times. I call it as it is, but they're out there. The Democrats did nothing to expose. They're out there. There's photos on Clinton, but it doesn't mean he's guilty. I call it as it is. Let's see what else we got. For me, it's just another distraction, because the Democrats are running on empty. So I appreciate it, David. Now, real quick, David, I appreciate your Trump's the best ever, but just be careful. I'm not going to touch it. I don't think the moderators are. Just be careful when you have a lot of the stuff on here. YouTube won't penalize you, but if you're enjoying the content, they might go ahead and take the comment out. But it looks like they didn't, so just be careful. That's for everybody. For me, though, you can put the flag in as many times as you want. I'm just kidding. It's great to see when you put the flag in. I love it. That shows that we are all for one, making America great, common sense, logical, and so on and so forth. It really, really is. All right, what we got here? Hold on. I want to comment on something that I normally don't comment on. Trump, hold on. Trump is not, I missed it. It was something about, I think the comment, and it's gone so fast, if that was my daughter, would I feel different? Look, maybe you're new to my channel, in your defense, hold tight. I think what you were alluding to was if it was my daughter. Look, these women were victims, no doubt. Now, let me just say this. There might have been a few of the victims on Epstein files, we're just changing on these live, that made stuff up. It doesn't matter if my daughter, your daughter, or anybody else. Justice. Nobody's above the law. But there's nothing there on any president that's alive. Not even the Alzheimer's stage 3 Biden, who was the worst ever. Well, Barack Obama was running his nation, but there's nothing on Barack Obama. As far as there's nothing. Now, you guys can say there is, but I haven't seen anything. Photos of Bill Clinton and Donald Trump back in the day, that doesn't mean they're guilty. Even if they're at the island, which President Trump was not, clearly, you got to have evidence. I don't know what I can say, but as far as that comment, I feel for these women. I feel for these women that are young adults and raising a family. It was horrible. Horrible. He was a piece of shit. I don't know what more I can say. Will they ever announce how many people? I'm sure there was people on the Republican side that might have been involved. And maybe the Democrat, and probably the Democrat side, for sure. Probably movie stars, sickos, right? But, the Democrats did nothing to try to investigate it. If they had done that, maybe things would have been different for the party. I don't think so, but it would have gave them some credibility. So I don't know what else you think I can say or anybody else can say about the Epstein files. I mean, they're out there. They're trying to put out more. All right, let's continue. Trump promised the Epstein files, and he got to it. There was a couple fumbles on the way. If you don't believe me, go back to about 3 months ago I called Trump out a few times. I didn't call him out. I said there's been some fumbles. But they're out there. It's better than the previous administration. So enough with the Epstein files. We got some serious problems right here. But no, those girls who need counseling will never be the same. My heart goes with them. So yes, for that comment. I think I went above and beyond that. Man with dementia wouldn't have been on top of the game like Trump was yesterday. Exactly. That's so well said, Ozzy. So well said. All your comments. I know you're going like that. What can I say? I can't disagree. I can't. All right. Let's see here. 90% files haven't been released. That's not true. I think that's a little on the high side. All right. Once again, there's people on here, and that's fine. You have your right to voice your opinion as long as there's no hate. You can hate me, but as long as there's no hate on anybody else on here. The truth in the matter is the Democrats had 4+ years to put out the Epstein files, and nothing was done. You know, some would say nothing was done because they were covering up Bill Clinton. I just defended them. So I don't know. But 90% or 99%, you guys, look, here's the deal. There's people on here, and I was going to say this, and there's just people out there who they have nothing else to do as far as to run a party. They know deep down inside. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're a Democrat, let me know. You know that the party is gone. If you're a moderate Democrat, you know, I know you're aggravated. I'm not here. Your mind's changed up. I'm not here to persuade you to become a Trump supporter. Not at all. He doesn't need it. He's got enough. They're gonna continue to win. What I'm here to say is this. The Democrats, give me a piece of paper. The Democrats have not come up with anything to make America better again. Or common sense. They have done nothing. If they cared, they would say, closing the borders was pretty damn good. They don't have to knock Biden, but if they were smart, they would say, Trump did good on there. What they should do is say, okay, we don't particularly like the tariffs tax. By the way, they're working. By the way, most people are going to get some money real soon. Tax breaks. The big, beautiful bill, by the way, when you do your taxes, it's going to be great. They haven't come up with anything. Say, I got something. We got something that's better than tariffs. Okay, I'm listening. Where is it? They don't have it. We got something that'll work better for healthcare. Oh, you do? What is it? They don't have it. We got something that's better than ICE. You do? They don't have it. All they do is agitate and have people go into church and break up small business. That's what they do. If you're a moderate Democrat, it's a shame because I know you have hope. You want hope. You want to make, you have issues. You don't hate Trump or maybe you don't like him, but you're hoping that the party will go back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me break the news. It's not going back. It's worse. And it won't come back until somebody has a pair of balls on them and say, enough's enough. We don't have to like Trump, but we got to love America. We love Americans. Let's be honest. Until they do that, I don't think it's going to happen in the immediate new future. It might take 8 years, maybe 12. And I know Trump came out today, and I got to tell you, I was a little disappointed at Donald Trump. Did I get all my megas attention? Get closer. I was disappointed. What the hell what's he talking about? He finally said something negative. I didn't like. I know he was trying to get a point. He says, it's hard. Only 2 presidents have won the House or control the House and the Senate after 2 years after becoming president twice. I didn't like that. I want him to say, we will win. We're going to win. I know he's trying to make a point and he's trying to, get his voice out like it's not a slam dunk. So, but I want to hear, we will win. We will. We will get the 24 seats or 12 seats, double the seats, whatever it is. We will win. And the simple reason is because people are fed up. Even those people who don't particularly like Trump know it's the best interest to keep Trump so he can continue getting what he wants done. And what's he going to get done? Save our ass. Save America. And that's what it's going to come down to. So I think, save this video, like this video, and we will win the House. And it won't just be by that much, which I don't care if it's that much. It'll be this much. Because of what I just said. Economy is much greater. It's not perfect yet, but it's 100 times better than it was a couple years ago. And he only been president for 1 year and a little over 1 year. Forget the exact days. All right. Mega strong. So, yeah, I'm sure Trump goes back, because he goes back, and I'm sure he's probably said, I probably should have been a little bit positive. Not that that hurt him at all. I'm just having a conversation. All right. Let me pull out some more comments here. Trump might be gone in 3 years, but then you all can deal with Rubio or JD. Yeah, that's right. And I got to tell you, Ozzy, I think whoever it is will be stronger than Trump. And in case you think I'm contradicting myself that Trump's going to be the best president ever, I want everybody to stay with me. They'll be stronger because they learn from the best. Are you with me? They learn. They meaning Marco Rubio or J.D. Vance, as Ozzy's comment. If you just go back a little bit, they're learning from the very best. You watch Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance. Watch Marco Rubio when they talk. He's like this. He's learning. He's thinking. He's very smart, and so is J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is just quiet. And we're going to listen. Speaking of J.D. Vance, this was J.D. Vance remarks in Minneapolis. Let's watch a little bit of this, and then we're going to continue to talk. Once again, thank you for being on board. Here was J.D. Vance. Speaking of J.D. Vance, he's been very quiet, but here he is here. This was in Minneapolis.
Forced to meet with some of those families. I understand that a couple of the students have made near miraculous recoveries, and just that was a very special moment for me to be invited into that community at a time of grief. And I hope that all of them know that though I didn't get to see them this particular time, I've been thinking about them and their families quite a bit. Now, to talk about what I am here to do, which is federal law enforcement to enforce our immigration laws, I want to say just a few things. First of all, I wanted to meet with business leaders, with ICE officers, with local law enforcement to try to understand a little bit better what's going on.
Get
so
my
that
soda.
we can tone down the temperature a little bit, reduce the chaos, but still allow us as a federal government to enforce the American immigration laws. That is the purpose of my visit. Now, this is step one or step two of that process. There's going to be a lot of work that follows through from here.
Sorry
I'm happy
about that,
to talk
guys.
about that, but I think I learned a few things that were very important. So number one of the things I learned is that the guys behind me are doing an incredible job, and frankly, a lot of the media is lying about the job that they do every single day.
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't occasionally stories out there, there aren't occasionally videos out there that suggest that these guys, or at least some of the people who work for them, are not doing everything right. But very often, if you look at the context of what's going on, you understand that these people are under an incredible amount of duress, an incredible amount of chaos.
Right.
And because of a few very far left agitators, a lot of these guys are unable to do their jobs without being harassed, without being doxxed, and sometimes without being assaulted. That's totally unacceptable. And that's one of the things that I want to send a message to is, yes, come out and protest me, protest our immigration policy, but do it peacefully. If you assault a law enforcement officer, the Trump administration and the Department of Justice is going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. And I wanted to show some support for these guys who, frankly...
Ladies and gentlemen, does he sound like your next president? He's calm, collective. You all know I like Marco Rubio. But, I got to tell you, either one. Very calm, collective. You heard what he said? You want to call me out or protest against me? I mean, he's right. Do it in a peaceful way. Let's continue. I'm really... J.D. Vance is growing on me, guys. It's going to be a tough one.
Are operating in a very, very tough environment. I heard a lot of stories today about that I think drives home just how chaotic the environment on the ground here has already gotten. For example, did you know that within the last, I think, week or so, maybe even more recently than that, you had a couple of ICE officers who were off duty, who had been doxxed online, who were sitting and having a meal at a restaurant in Minneapolis.
Listen to this.
A bunch of agitators showed up, locked the door, made them feel like they were in danger for their lives, and then, of course, it was federal law enforcement officers who had to come up, lower the temperature on the situation, and actually get those two off-duty officers to a point of safety.
Wow.
Now imagine, if you would, your life and your perspective on law enforcement if you can't even go to a restaurant without some agitators locking the door and making you feel like your life is in danger. That is the environment that has been created, I think, by a lot of very, frankly, far left people, but also by some of the state and local law enforcement officials who could do a much better job in cooperating and working. And by the way, I'm not talking about the cops, who these guys told me on the ground, the cops are very sympathetic to what they're dealing with. I'm talking about the state and local elected law enforcement officials who could do a lot better job in making their lives a little bit easier. And in the process, they would make the lives of all Minneapolis residents easier. And that's
Sandra, welcome in, my friend.
To
Forgot to say hi to you.
Laws on the one hand, while on the other hand, we want to make sure that people in Minneapolis are able to go about their day. And I want to say just one last point on this. So I heard from a business leader today who told me a very tough story. And I think so much of what's gone wrong in Minneapolis is people not trying to understand the perspective of somebody else. Try to understand what somebody else is experiencing, whether they're a law enforcement officer or anybody in the community here in Minneapolis. So they told me a story about this manufacturing facility where an illegal immigrant was being arrested. And as these employees are going into the manufacturing facility, all of a sudden, an illegal immigrant shows up. They don't know it's an illegal immigrant. And then a bunch of ICE officers descend. Now, these people just want to go to work. They want to go to work safely. And now, all of a sudden, there's a major law enforcement operation happening right outside their place of business. Now, from one perspective, I certainly understand why a business leader or why an employee would say, whoa, what's going on? It's a little scary, no matter your position in life, if a bunch of cop cars show up and they're arresting somebody. Now, the additional context is that we know that people online have been encouraging illegal immigrants that one way they can evade arrest is by showing up at a legitimate place of business, making it impossible for these guys to actually enforce our immigration laws. So while I can understand the perspective of somebody who doesn't want to see an arrest happen at their place of work, I can also understand the perspective of our immigration enforcement officers who have to do their job and can't allow a heckler's veto over our immigration enforcement. And so much of what's gone wrong is the failure to do that. And here's the point. We can do a good job of enforcing our immigration laws without the chaos, but it actually requires the cooperation of state and local officials. If you look at blue cities and blue states, red cities and red states, you go to Austin, Texas, or Memphis, Tennessee. You go to the state of Texas, obviously a very red state, or the state of Tennessee, a very red state. But you got blue cities within those states, you do not have this level of chaos. The reason why things have gotten so out of hand is because of failure of cooperation between the state and local authorities and what these guys are trying to do. We have a ton of resources, a ton of ICE agents in this city right now that I would rather us not have. I'd love to send those guys home. They're not even doing targeted immigration enforcement. They're trying to protect ICE officers who are doing immigration enforcement, because when a crowd surrounds them and these guys call 911, the local officials, the local cops have been told down. So we have people here who aren't even doing immigration enforcement, they're doing force protection. So that if a rioter tries to ruin the life or assault an ICE officer, they're actually protected. Now, why doesn't it make more sense for the local cops to get involved in that situation? Why not just have the mayor or the local officials tell the police officers, you know what, if an ICE officer is being assaulted by a far left agitator, you are invited, you should actually help them. That's what would work out in any normal situation, and that's what happens in nearly every jurisdiction, red or blue, in the United States of America. The reason it hasn't happened here is because the local authorities have been told, stand down, do not help ICE, promote the violence, promote the agitation, but don't do anything to lower the temperature and lower the chaos. That's a problem. Here's another example of how the lack of cooperation...
And I'll just go a little farther, folks. The real reason is the Democrats want the illegals in Minneapolis, in California, in Las Vegas, in Florida, so on and so forth. For what reason? Put it in the chat. The reason is, my reason is, so they can continue having them, the illegals come here, it's on the agenda, to continue to win over common sense, to win and control. The real reason, he's not going to say it, but I will say it, to win over the future, to take over America, to have more shutdowns, more pandemics, more this, more come up with stuff and to run when we can go shopping, when we can work, how much we can make, to ruin the American dream. I've said it. I said it for you, JD Vance. But this man, who normally is quiet, is pissed. Look at his face. He's given us the reason and what the mayors should be doing, whether they're Democrat or Republican, is to put their political belief behind and let justice, let these people that are here, I'm talking about murders, rapists, mental institutions, pour into us. That is the reason. That's the real reason. Let's go on and listen. Sorry I interrupted possibly our future president.
Between state and local officials makes it harder for us to do our job and turns up the temperature. Let's say, for example, we have a criminal migrant who is a sex offender. And let's say that we've got to go and arrest that person who, Democrat or Republican, wants a sex offender living in their community. I would assume, I would hope that most people don't.
No.
But because they're an illegal alien, we don't know their last address. We may have known their address 3 years ago, but we don't know their address now. What we'd like to do is talk to local officials and say, you know what, according to the Medicaid rules, where was the last address this person was domiciled? Or according to a SNAP application, a food stamps application, maybe that could give us insight to where this person is today. Or maybe they had some local court trouble. We could go to the courthouse or even the local jail and try to find where this criminal sex offender is today.
Exactly.
The local authorities have been told, do not cooperate. So these guys are trying to go out and enforce the law. They're trying to arrest sex offenders, but they're trying to do it in an environment where local officials have been told, do not help them, do not provide intelligence about where these sex offenders might be. This is disgraceful. And there are a lot of things that all of us could do better to lower the temperature, but the number one thing that I learned today is that the best way to facilitate reasonable enforcement of the law, but also to lower the chaos in Minneapolis, would be for state and local officials to cooperate. Now, I will say, on one final positive note, I actually think that there's some hope, some reason to think that there's going to be better cooperation in the weeks and months to come. I think that because I've talked to some of the local officials here, I think there are reasons to believe that these people are going to step up and actually ask the cops to protect our ICE officers when they're being assaulted, who are going to ask the local courts to cooperate with getting criminal sex offenders out of our community. That's a good thing. That's the good news, and that's something I'm going to work on when I get back to Washington. But please, if you're a local official, if you're the mayor of this town, if you have any influence over those people, just tell them to cooperate. Because we could have immigration enforcement operate as smoothly and without the chaos that we see in Austin, Texas, or Memphis, Tennessee, or even rural parts of the state of Minnesota. All we need is a little cooperation. I guarantee we're going to do the best to be professional, to respect people's rights, to not do anything that we don't have to do in order to enforce immigration laws, but it would make our lives a lot easier, it would make our officers a lot safer, and it would make Minneapolis much less chaotic if we had a little bit of cooperation from the state and local officials. With that, I'll shut up and take some questions. Thank you, guys.
The local school district here is alleging
real quick, he's going to take some questions. We'll listen a little bit more. Is he right? Is he correct? He's not saying vote for me. He's not saying love me. He even said you want to protest against me. This is common sense, right? Let them continue and arrest these people that are murderers and rapists. Let me just say this for those who are coming in the chat. There was 100,000 folks, 100,000 illegal aliens 1 year ago. They have arrested 10,000 of these murders and rapists and craziness back to their country, and 10% have left on their own. So what's that tell you, folks? What does that tell you? What does that tell you? It's working. Yes or no? Is it working? 10% are left. And that means people can walk on the streets of Minneapolis, in Washington, in Florida, in Las Vegas, and that they don't have to worry about these other people. Now, sure, you're going to have homegrown here. We have craziness here. I'll beat you to it. That's right. But we can't have quadruple and 100 times worse. We can't. All right, now he's taking questions. listen to some of these questions.
Agents to take a 5-year-old after preschool.
All right, it's hard to hear. They're going to bring up the 5-year-old. If you didn't know, supposedly they took a 5-year-old. I think they took him out of school or something. Let's listen in.
On Tuesday, we've also seen multiple American citizens detained by ICE over the last 6 weeks. Are you proud of how your administration is conducting this immigration crackdown here in Minnesota?
Okay.
The key to being rich and build financial plans to help them get there. Let's find your rich. Edward Jones.
Give me a couple seconds, guys. I went into a... they got to pay some bills. While we wait for J.D. Vance, the question while we wait, we got about 7 seconds to talk about this 5-year-old. You see how they right away will turn things around? So, I think we're back. Yeah, we got it back. I think we got it back.
Laws. But, you know, you asked a question about this 5-year-old kid. I actually saw this terrible story while I was coming to Minneapolis. We just left Toledo, Ohio this morning for an economic messaging event. And I see this story, and I'm a father of a 5-year-old, actually, a 5-year-old little boy. And I think to myself, oh my God, this is terrible. How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I did a little bit more follow-up research. And what I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien. And then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? Are they not supposed to arrest an illegal alien in the United States of America? If the argument is that you can't arrest people.
Well, there you go, folks. So if you turn on CNN or The View, the headlines will be, here's the headlines. Here will be the headlines. The headlines will be this on fake news. 5-year-old boy was arrested for a crime. No, the father did something wrong. And what are you supposed to do with the child? Not his fault. Get him warm, get him into care. But again, see a lot of these agitators, particularly young people, some are old, don't see headlines. CNN is going to be gone. A few years, they're going to be gone. But that's the headlines. And that's what goes into some of these heads. And that's what happened. May she rest in peace. Bad judgment from Renee. Good. She got caught up, and her wife, lesbian wife, and these other people, and Don Lemon. Well, Don Lemon, he's something wrong with him. And then they agitate. And they go, and then they regret what happens. And they get arrested, or they lose their lives from making these horrible jobs. I blame the news. I blame the radical, the governors. I continue to say, I blame them. It's a shame. It's really horrible. All right, let's listen in. He's talking about the 5-year-old. If you're just coming in, the 5-year-old that was arrested, who was not arrested.
Who have violated our laws because they have children, then every single parent is going to be completely given immunity from ever being the subject of law enforcement. That doesn't make any sense. No one thinks that makes any sense. Now, you know, there's so many of these cases like that where if you just understand the context, there have been a number of situations that I've looked into personally where I say, wait a second. We don't want ICE arresting American citizens. They're supposed to be enforcing the immigration laws against illegal aliens. So then I look into it and I find out that the American citizen who was arrested took a swing at an ICE officer. You can't have that happen. And of course they have to defend themselves.
Exactly.
And of course they have the right to detain somebody who assaults a law enforcement officer. Now, this is my point. Do we want these things to happen? Do we want these arrests to be so chaotic? No, we don't. These guys want it least of all. But if we had a little cooperation from local and from local and state officials, I think the chaos would go way down in this community.
President!
Go ahead.
After the Renee Good shooting, sir, the administration seemed to say...
Yeah, well, you can go next.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'll take both.
After the Renee Good shooting, sir, the administration seems to, after the Renee Good shooting, the administration seemed to suggest that ICE officers enjoyed near complete immunity. But today you told the Washington Examiner that when appropriate, the administration might take disciplinary actions against ICE agents. So is that a change of opinion? And if so, why the change in tone?
No, I didn't say, and I don't think any other official within the Trump administration said that officers who engaged in wrongdoing would enjoy immunity. That's absurd. What I did say is that when federal law enforcement officers violate the law, that is typically something that federal officials.
I don't either, Ozzy.
We don't want these
I don't
guys to
either.
have kangaroo courts. We want them to actually have real due process, real investigation, because again, sometimes they're accused of wrongdoing, and it turns out when you learn the context, they didn't actually do anything wrong. But of course, we're going to investigate these things. Of course, we're investigating the Renee Good shooting, but we're investigating them in a way that respects people's rights and then ensures that if somebody did something wrong, yes, they're going to face disciplinary action, but we're not going to judge them in the court of public opinion. I've spoken at length in this particular case. I think that Renee Good's death is a tragedy. I also think that she rammed an ICE officer with her car. So the tragedy here is multi-layered. The tragedy is there was a misunderstanding. The tragedy is that Renee Good lost her life. The tragedy is that you have ICE officers who are going into communities where they're worried that if they call 911, no one's going to come to help them. That is what produces this terrible situation, and it's something state and local officials here in Minnesota could solve. Yes, sir.
Can you give us a message towards March for Life tomorrow, especially regarding the collaboration and values?
I'm reading some comments, some real good comments, some funny comments.
Towards that, sir.
Well, you know, it is a shame that kids have to get caught up in this. I am speaking at March for Life tomorrow. I'm pro-life, and I'm very excited to speak there. I want to talk about local law enforcement, but, you know, I mean, look, I am, as a child, I saw people in my family get arrested. It's terrible. It's heartbreaking, it's chaotic, it's traumatic for the kids. I can recognize that, and I can recognize that we got to support these kids, while on the other hand saying that just because you're a parent doesn't mean that you get complete immunity from law enforcement.
Exactly.
And I think we have to hold both of those thoughts in our head at the same time. We've got to be sympathetic to the kids who are caught up in some of these enforcement actions. We've also got to say we have to enforce the law without bias, with fairness, but we've got to enforce the law.
Mr. Vice President.
There was a class a few weeks ago, and their mayors said they haven't heard about anything in the city. How did ICE interactively work?
I'm going to pause it for a second, guys. I just want to welcome in new viewers. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing. If you're just coming in, this was J.D. Vance earlier today, approximately about 8 hours ago, taking questions from the reporters, delivering remarks in Minneapolis, talking about Renee Good, a little bit on the church. What happened, we've been discussing on Don Lemon. A lot of people are just coming in. You might have heard that Don Lemon, for right now on this Thursday, has the judge has overruled the DOJ for pressing charges. However, I'm telling you perfectly clear here that the judge is married to a prosecutor who knows, or a family member of Don Lemon. Don Lemon went into a church and he'll be prosecuted. There's been a couple arrests today. That couple is about 3, many more to come. And our president, or excuse me, possibly our future president, but our vice president, J.D. Vance, a little calmer in his own way. He's been quiet, as pretty much common sense. And he's telling you guys, he's telling all of us that are on here, 1,200, that they don't tell you about these ICE agents. You know, did you hear a couple minutes ago they went into that restaurant and they closed the door? I mean, is this what they come to? And by the way, guys, these ICE agents, I've said this to my viewers many times, these ICE agents are white, they're black. I've seen African-American women, Hispanic, maybe gay, and they're Democrats. They're Republicans. They're there to put their badge. They're there to do and deliver to keep this beautiful nation safer. Okay, there's been 100,000 arrests. There's been many arrests, and all they want is, it's hard for the children. But just because you have a child doesn't mean you'll not be arrested. You know, we're going to take the child. In this case, it was a 5-year-old, I think it was a young boy. And what are you supposed to do with him? Let him freeze in Minnesota? We're going to put him in and get him child protection or until we get him a family member. I think that's what he didn't say that, but he said a little bit of that. So, but again, they turn it around. Once again, folks, if you're new, Donald Trump won the people's vote because the majority of the population, Democrats, Republicans, did not want people coming here, pouring in other countries and doing crime, murders and rapes and drugs. This is all common sense, folks. All common sense. And he is there delivering. And if you are above the law and you go into a church, or if you interfere and you attack an ICE agent, you will be held responsible and maybe go to jail up to 5-10 years regarding the church. And that's that. We'll listen into some more of these reports. I think the next question was about, let's see, I think the next question was about,
You said there was an altercation in St. Cloud.
Okay.
Yeah.
The mayor said that ICE did not communicate with them they were in the city for your operation, the police chief did not know about the operation at the time. Could you talk a little bit about what happened communication?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the takeaways. I've talked with these guys before we came on the stage.
I appreciate the donations coming in.
We've had
Natalie, thank you so much, Natalie.
We absolutely want to ensure there's good communication between federal officials and state and local officials, and I'm sure that we can do better on that. We absolutely want to make sure that we are communicating, but that also requires.
Thank you so much for those who are supporting with donations. It's not on notice. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so very much for all your support.
It's a two-way street, and that's the point that I make about state and local officials. These guys will absolutely communicate with state and local officials. They'll tell people if they have to do an enforcement operation in a particular municipality, but part of that is they also want to ensure that if they're communicating about their whereabouts, that's not being used as a weapon against them. Sometimes they tell people where they're going, and then they find out that their agents' faces are on the, on Reddit or on some social media thread saying, here's this guy, we know he's going to be at this place at this exact time. So that communication has got to be a two-way street. These guys are going to communicate with business leaders, with local officials, with state officials, but we also need the local officials and state officials to do a good job of protecting people when they're in their communities. We're not asking, by the way, we don't want any police officer in this community, in this state, to help us do immigration enforcement. We've got that. But if a protester shows up and that protester turns violent against our immigration officers, we really, really need the cooperation of our local partners. We haven't gotten it yet, but I think if we do, we really can lower the temperature. Yeah. Yeah, so I saw that story, and the story is like so much that I read in the mainstream media, it's missing a whole lot of context, and when you appreciate the context, it makes sense. No one is saying, look, there are exceptions. For example, a crazy exception, if somebody is fired at from inside a house, they don't need a warrant to go inside that person's house. There are very narrow exceptions to the warrant requirement where law enforcement officers don't need a warrant if, for example, they're an imminent threat of their lives. But what we've said and what ICE has proposed, what Department of Homeland Security really has proposed in the Department of Justice, is that we can get administrative warrants to enforce administrative immigration law. Now, it's possible, I guess, that the courts will say no, and of course, if the courts say no, we would follow that law, but nobody is talking about doing immigration enforcement without a warrant. We're talking about different types of warrants that exist in our system. Typically, what
Welcome
happens,
in, Wesley.
but typically in the immigration system, those are handled by administrative law judges. So we're talking about getting warrants from those administrative law judges. And then, of course, with other cases, you get
I hear you, Scott.
You get warrants from a judge. That's very consistent with the practice of American law. I'm sure the courts will weigh in on that, but we're never going to enter somebody's house without some kind of a warrant, unless, of course, somebody's firing on an officer or they have to do something in order to protect.
So let me just pause it there, if I would. A few more minutes left. So what he's saying is you have certain channels, certain news outlets, and no disrespect to other podcasts, there's not many, will say that they're pouring into schools and homes and just dragging people out. No, not the case, okay? They are going in there because they have the correct address 99% of the time, and these guys are from El Salvador, Venezuela, Mexico, China, so on and so forth, right? They have the names, the DOJ, Kash Patel, and there's a good chance they might be there. If they're not there, maybe they're somewhere else, and they will hunt them down, and they're going to continue to do it. They're not going to go away. basically, if you're coming in on this J.D. Vance who delivers remarks, this is nothing new. He's hoping that the law and order, the police department, well, it actually starts from the mayor and the governor. But guys, you have to understand something here. We've had a mayor and a governor, if you're new to the channel, come out and say we're at war with the country. We're at war, we're at war with the government. We are at war with the government and Donald Trump, J.D. Vance. So when you hear the governor say this, they're going to give direct orders, and that's why they need to have the Insurrection Act. Because how are they going to continue doing their job? It's not the police fault. They can't go ahead and say, well, I don't like the governor, I disobey him, I'm going to do it. No, then they're in trouble. So when you have a weak leadership, weak and allegedly involved with fraud, and a mayor who don't know his left hand from his right hand, how the hell are we going to get anything done? So, and by the way, for those who says he has eye makeup on, I don't give a shit what he has on. This is common sense. This is a vice president who could be the president, or Marco Rubio, or Tulsi Gabbard, whatever. This is how America should be. This is all. You don't have to be a genius. This is what we all want. I don't care what he has on.
Protect themselves. Go ahead.
Eyeliner? Maybe.
Well, our understanding is that you can enforce the immigration laws of the country under an administrative order if you have an administrative warrant. That's what we think. That's our understanding of the law. That's our best faith attempt to understand the law.
Richie, American first. God bless, Richie. Thank you.
Speak to that. Yes, most immigration law in our country is not done through the criminal system with the judge. It's done through the administrative law system. We're going to continue that practice just as they did in the Biden administration or any other administration.
Was there anything that you heard or saw today that could possibly cause the president to invoke the Insurrection Act? And then also,
all right, here we go.
I did not talk to him today. I talked to some of his colleagues. Your question on the Insurrection Act is interesting. I've tried to understand this as well as I possibly could. And my understanding is what the Insurrection Act, what invoking the Insurrection Act would allow the federal government to do is it would allow the federal government to use the military for local law enforcement operations. Right now, we don't think that we need that. Now, the president could change his mind. Of course, things could get worse. But right now, we think that federal law enforcement officers can do the job of federal law enforcement. Now, what I do worry about, again, is if the chaos gets worse, if more and more ICE agents start getting assaulted, if other law enforcement officers start getting assaulted, that would be a real problem. But again, we have so much federal law enforcement resources here right now. We have so many people here.
Vance is the man with the plan. Love that. Thank you. Man with the plan.
In Minneapolis right now. I mean, it's really, really freaking cold outside. But they're here not even to enforce immigration laws, but to protect the people from the rioters. That's an absurd state of affairs, and we wouldn't need it if we had a little bit more cooperation from the...
So he didn't say he would not have applied the Insurrection Act. You heard it there. But only if it continues to be where they fear for the ICE agent's life. And, we've seen a little bit of that. We've seen, we heard our vice president say, they closed the door in the restaurant. They went after him with a snow shovel. Venezuela, remember that a couple of days ago? We covered that on here. By the way, thank you for subscribing and like. Make sure you have all notifications on. But an event, what he just said, they might apply it. But I have a feeling, I want to stay positive. Maybe you might see a little bit of protest over the weekend. It's all going to go away because there's just no hope. It doesn't accomplish anything. They know it doesn't. I think the Democrats know it's going to end up hurting them instead of helping them because that's what they're thinking. It's going to be a distraction. We'll listen in a little bit more. I think we got about another 10 minutes
Minneapolis
to go.
Police Department. Again, the Minneapolis Police Department, my understanding is that the actual beat cops on the ground, they would love to help out, but they're being told by somebody. I don't know if it's Mayor Frey. They're being told by somebody not to cooperate at all. What kind of a person tells their local police?
By the way, is it Mayor Frey or Mayor Fry? If I was calling him Mayor Fry, then I apologize. I thought it was, I don't know, maybe J.D. Vance, our vice president, is correct. Whatever. He's referring to the guy with the hair in front of his forehead. So, but somebody's giving them the orders not to help.
Don't protect somebody if they're being assaulted by a rioter. It's crazy, and it's got to stop. Yes.
Earlier this week, local law enforcement used federal agents of racial profiling.
Looking for tax help? Now there are TurboTax experts right
Yeah, I
in your
don't know if
neighborhood.
it's
They get to know your unique situation and get you every dollar you.
Yeah, exactly, Ozzy.
So hand out your
But yeah, you can't blame the police because we don't know who's giving the order. Mayor Frey, Mayor Fry, whatever the hell his name is.
Are going viral on TikTok doesn't translate over to YouTube. Well, I found that.
Why are there so many Christians being caught up in
Welcome in, everybody.
Well, I think your question assumes something that's not necessarily in evidence, which is that when there are American citizens who have been caught up in some of these enforcement operations, very often it is people who have assaulted a law enforcement officer. They're not being arrested because they violated the immigration laws. They're being arrested because they punched a federal law enforcement officer. That is a totally reasonable thing. Now, to the accusation of racial profiling, look, it's something that we take very seriously. We will take accusations of racial profiling back to Washington. We'll certainly look into them as they come up. But this is not a group that's going around and looking for people who violated the law based on skin color. They're looking for people who violated the actual law, the law of our immigration system in this country. And so long as we had more cooperation, I think they could do these things in a much more targeted way. They would actually know where some of the bad guys are. I mean, again, you hear things that are hard to believe, but I've confirmed that they're true. Sex offenders who we're trying to get off the streets, who the local officials won't tell us their last known address. So then the local officials say, oh my God,
right,
these guys are doing widespread targeted enforcement operations, when in reality, we would love to just go to one house. The local officials won't tell us which one house to go to.
Mr. Vice President. Mr. Vice President, to that question, the local police chiefs have said their own off-duty officers, so police officers, are being targeted because they are a person of color and asked to show their papers. Is that a concern of the administration and the Department of Homeland Security? If local law enforcement says their own officers are being targeted and they describe it as, quote, civil rights violations in our streets.
So I saw one story about this and one local police officer who said this. And look, certainly is it a concern? Absolutely. The first thing we have to figure out is whether it happened or not. And then if it happened, whether there is a good explanation or a bad explanation. And of course, if somebody violated the law, if somebody racially profiled, if somebody violated the rights of one of our
Amen,
Ozzy.
That is Amen, Ozzy Ray.
Very seriously. What I also would say is that many of the most viral stories of the past couple of weeks have turned out to be, at best, partially true. So we want to try people based on reality, based on the truth, based on context.
There you go.
We're not going to prejudge people just because of viral social media story that turned out to be half false.
We're not going to prejudge. Did you hear that from our vice president? Isn't he great? We are not going to prejudge. But you know what? Certain news outlets like CNN and CNBC and some of these other CNBCs and all these other shit, you heard, they just come up with bullshit. And the more bullshit they come up with, the more they lose. The more they lose. You heard him say it. You heard him say it calmly. We will continue a little bit more.
Quick question. Both the roundtable you just had, and I presume that happened. Did you invite anybody with an opposing point of view to get an idea of why people are upset here? And just as a quick follow-up, have you reached out to Governor Walz at all in an attempt to turn down the table?
So I haven't talked to Governor Walz on this particular trip. A number of members of our administration, I believe our chief of staff, spoke to the governor and has been in constant contact with his staff over the past week. We've been in my office in constant contact with people here on the ground in Minneapolis. There were certainly people at a round.
I apologize, guys. It's the feed. It's not me.
I don't even know.
Doing the best I can.
Whether it's public, but yes, we met with people with opposing views here at the round table. I wanted to get a perspective from everybody, but also, of course, offer my opinion that with a little bit more cooperation, we can lower the chaos. We're going to keep on doing that. If Governor Walz wants to call me, we'll absolutely continue talking. I will say that my sense of this situation, having talked to these guys for a long time, is this is primarily a law enforcement issue. This is the Attorney General. This is the local mayor. This is all of the organs of local and state law enforcement. That's who we focus on, but we've certainly been in communication with the governor and his office as well.
Vice President.
Yeah.
The local enforcement obviously hasn't been really helping out with the agents who've been assaulted repeatedly. What's the plan if nothing changes there here locally and this operation has attracted thousands of agents? Are there any plans to go to any other cities from here?
Well, right now we're focused on Minneapolis because that's where we have the highest concentration of people who have violated our immigration laws, and that's often
eyeliner or no eyeliner in the chat. Is he wearing eyeliner?
Our plan is very simple. If you assault a
or
federal
no
law
eyeliner?
enforcement officer, we're going to do everything that we can to put you in prison. It's very simple.
Yes, he's wearing eyeliner.
As much as I may disagree with their politics, most of them
mascara.
Have been peaceful.
He's wearing
mascara. But a lot of them have not been peaceful.
Jason says
if you go and storm a church, if you go in and
here we go, guys.
Law enforcement officer, we are going to try
Listen.
very hard. We're going to use every resource of the federal government to put you in prison. Respect people's rights. Respect people's rights to worship. Respect people's rights to do their job without being assaulted.
Deborah
if
says
you follow
no.
that basic principle, the Trump administration is going to do everything that we can to protect your rights. But if you go after somebody, if you assault somebody, if you make a 9-year-old girl cry because you walked into her church and harassed her, we're going to go after you with every single tool that we have.
Vice President, that's over the NBC News, sir. Your administration has said repeatedly this is about safety, about making Americans feel safer. So what do you say to people here in Minnesota?
You heard what he said about the church, right? You heard what he said.
It's the overwhelming presence of ICE officers and federal officers and their tactics that are making them feel better.
Well, one thing I would say, first of all, we saw in 2025 the biggest one-year drop in murders in the history of the United States of America. Significant reductions in violent crime. The reason why we have less violent crime is really two reasons. Number one, because we're enforcing the immigration law and getting very violent criminals out of our country. And number two, because we're enforcing our criminal laws and putting guys who assault and murder behind bars. This is part of a broad effort to make us safe. And the chaos that people are seeing, and I understand there is frustration of the chaos, I'd say that we're doing everything that we can to lower the temperature.
No, I
we
don't
would
think
like
so.
Federal and local, excuse me, state and local officials to meet us halfway. So much, so...
Perceiving it correctly. Are you saying that they're not seeing the tactics or the presence of the...
Okay, they just asked him, does he have eyeliner on? They just asked him, a reporter. Okay? And he says, no, there's no eyeliner on. Or him. Maybe him. No, folks, I mean, this is truly a vice president who's calm, collective. You heard him talk about the church. They're not going to put up with it. I'm going to turn the camera around a little bit. Eyeliner, mascara, makeup. I see some gray in his beard. I see a man who's confident. I see a man who can very well be the president of the United States, who can probably win over anybody on the Democrat side. Calm, collective, honest, getting the facts. That's who I see. All right, we're going to continue a few more minutes, and then we're going to read some comments.
Look, I'm sure that people are seeing a lot of things that would make any member of our national community feel very upset. But I also think that if you understand this in context, this is the inevitable consequence of a state and local government that have decided that they're not going to cooperate with immigration enforcement at all. In fact, they're going to aggressively not cooperate. So here's a basic illustration.
You know, I'm going to stop for a second because I caught a comment that said something about connected. I don't know who said it, but I like the comment. I think it was a great comment. Oh, here it is. It's from Andy. Andy. First of all, Andy, good evening. God bless you. Connected people. Oh, I thought you said he connects with people. So I was going to give you connected people. I thought you were going to say he connects with people. And he does connect with people very well.
So. And you have to arrest a person who's committed assault and is also an illegal alien, but the state and local officials won't help you identify that person. Many of the things that people in Minneapolis are seeing that give them pause, that frustrate them, that worry them, that make them feel like things are too chaotic, many of these things are coming from the fact that there's no cooperation with state and local law enforcement. And I guess what I would tell people, again, many of whom are justifiably concerned and worried about what they're seeing in their communities is, why are we not seeing it anywhere else? We're seeing this level of chaos only in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
Chicago, we had some problems there. Pretty much every jurisdiction where these guys are operating, you don't see the same level of chaos. You don't see...
I'll tell you why. Want to know why, guys? I'm going to tell you why. We're going to pause it there, and I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm going to tell you why in a second. I'm going to tell you why. I got to sit down. And by the way, I apologize. Is the feed? It wasn't my camera. It was the feed from the earlier news outlet. The reason you're not seeing it, like we have senators here where I live in Las Vegas that are Democrats. It's run by a governor who's Republican. We have a Democrat in Chicago who's a piece of shit. But why it's not happening as much or as bad? California it is because of this. Why it's happening in Minneapolis a lot right now, and why it's also exposed in California, and Nick Shirley or somebody's going to expose major fraud in California, is one reason and one reason only. And that reason is this: the fraud. Ladies and gentlemen, it's out there. Nick Shirley exposed it. Tim Walz has publicly come out and say, I was aware of fraud since COVID. He says, I can tell you I wasn't involved. There's fraud. So why they're hoping the governor and the mayor is hoping that it's a distraction. And with Renee Good, I'll say it, rest in peace. Our prayers and thoughts with family. Made a bad decision. With that happening, right, and then the federal ICE agents getting ambushed and having a snow shovel, they're hoping, Tim Walz and is it Fry or Frey, the mayor, they're all hoping that the fraud will just kind of vanish. It'll go away. Because for me, they all might be involved. We know, we talked about it a half hour ago, and welcome in everybody. We appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you have it. I don't know what you're waiting for. But they're hoping that this fraud will advance because they were all involved. And it's heavily in Minneapolis. It's probably a lot of states, but a lot here. So if this continues, and it'll kind of just go away. No, it won't go away. Not when we have President Trump and J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Kash Patel, and Pam Bondi. There was 3 arrests today. So that's why it's happening there. And you have a chief of police that I think he goes on and says, maybe he doesn't, but I will, of Minneapolis, who's corrupted. He has a badge. His badge is to separate his political views and back up ICE agents and protecting the ICE agents and the people that are there that shouldn't be protesting or riots. I call it riots. They failed to do that because they're hoping it all kind of goes away because a lot of them are involved. A lot of them are hiding stuff. And it's starting to finally come out, and they're going to get handcuffed and go to jail and prison for a very long time. Enough is enough. If you're above the law, I don't care if you're Republican, or red state, blue state. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care if I voted for you. You are going to serve time. That is money that could have went to people that were middle class or anybody who was struggling who could have got food stamps and Medicaid and other kind of benefits and unemployment at the time of COVID. Did not receive it. Instead, it went opposite. It went to illegals and it went back to Somalia. And that's why J.D. Vance, I'll say this for him, is happening largely, in my opinion, in Minneapolis. And I'm telling you guys, have all notifications because within the next 5 days, right before the Super Bowl, you will have California being exposed and Gavin Newsom will be in a hot seat. But it'll be worse. Why will it be worse? Pal State fires, homeless money, and other programs and fraud there as well. Bigger, because it's bigger in California. So as soon as they get done with this, see, this for me, in my opinion, is kind of a test. Okay? They're testing Minneapolis, and then they'll go to California. But I think that's what he was going on and say, that it's not as bad in Chicago, because even though it's a shit-run governor, and maybe there's fraud there, but it's not as exposed yet or as bad or as highlighted as Minneapolis. Yes or no in the chat. So that's what's going on here. His days are numbered, Tim Walz, allegedly. I'll say allegedly. His days are numbered. And so is Don Lemon, and so is anybody else that interferes with ICE agents. All right, with that said, it goes on for a few minutes. There's some other reporters asking questions, but I'm going to read some comments. Once again, thank you for the 338 likes. Appreciate each and every one of you. There's some spam in here. People just ignore. As more as the common sense takes over America. I call it common sense, make America great. The more you're going to have people that are hypnotized who are going to come on the live streams. And it's one thing voicing your opinion and disagreeing with me or disagreeing with the vice president, but it's common sense. You know it and I know it. This world is run by leaders that are saving our ass. They're saving our grandkids, our children, our pets, our everybody, blacks, whites, Hispanic that are legal here, Mexicans that have worked their ass off that are legal here, lots. So let's not stereotype. We are protecting the Constitution of America. That's what we're doing. And they are missing the big picture. They, the radical Democrat, whatever the hell you want to call them, I don't know if it's a Democrat party anymore. I don't know why they call it a Democrat party. In Italian, we would call it scazziata, which means unorganized, dirty, ugly. It can mean a lot. All right, I'm going to get into some comments here before we go off. Don Lemon, what? I don't know. Don Lemon, you said what? Don Lemon is just doing what he does, creating stories. They aren't there. Absolutely. That's why he got fired from CNN. He cries. He uses him being gay and black, which I talk to people that are gay and black and white, and they agree on 99% of what we're saying. Has nothing to do with anything. They just use that to turn it around. All right. Many people I talk to say it was absolutely zero. They back him up 0%. When I say they, gay, black, white. All right. What else we have here? I'll read a few more. Don Lemon, Tucker Carlson. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. How is Lemon J? That's really important. That's a very important. Thanks for asking. It was at Palon, I think. I got a text. The last I text, the communication was that person for security is doing better. We're taking one day at a time. Still in the hospitalized. Had a very bad fall. That's one of our moderators. So we wish Lemon J much love and support. And we'll be back soon. We'll be back soon. All right. Trump's the GOAT. I think so. He makes Tom Brady look like a little leaguer. Article 25. What else we got? What else we got? Welcome in, James. Love when I see the flag. Somebody said Trump is a jackass. Do you guys agree with that? Thank you for the gifts. Thank you all who supported today's live stream, yesterday's live streams, last week's live streams, all the memberships, last year's. Thank you so much for making a lot of yeses. We appreciate it on behalf of everybody who likes and subscribes to this channel. We are, love my president, absolutely. We have a man, a president who really cares about all of us. And justice will finally be done. We will have many arrests for interfering and going into the church, and much, much more. We have 355 likes. I really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. We're just a small little YouTube channel here, and we greatly appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. I mean, I probably should just call it the Common Sense Channel, but we help out the homeless on here, and that is so important to me, my family, and many others on here, and we appreciate it, and all your support on the short, just to show you a little bit what happens with the homeless here in Las Vegas metropolitan area, all through the whole nation, actually. But once again, Trump has been president just over a little over a year now. Think about it and what has been accomplished. And it's finally, love you right back. Finally starting to see people getting arrested, like William Kelly, the man with the beard that you see in my thumbnail, William Kelly, and others. Love the flag. For those who are saying hi, hello, hello, hello. Thank you for saying hi. Hope you're doing well. Make Greenland great again. Absolutely. Security. Should have been done a long time ago. How did not any other president do that? Think about it. It's right there, right next to China and Russia, and we're there. Security. You would not ever have a war with Ukraine and Russia. It's just, once again, common sense, you know, and it will happen. It will happen. Real soon. Absolutely, Palon. Absolutely. Trump 28. As far as the eyeliner, I don't care if he has makeup on, lipstick on, don't matter. He's a family man. He is an amazing vice president. Much better than J.D. Vance. And I'll go a little farther. Look at the Tim Walsh guy. Huh? I mean, are we thinking about all these allegations? He could have been the vice president of the United States. Imagine how much fraud would have been done then. We wouldn't have a United States. We wouldn't have our rights. Oh my goodness. God, thank you saving us. Thank you. That bullet. I hate to bring up the bullet again on the assassination attempt. Brain dead, not with us, Donald Trump, President Trump. Holy shit. We would have had Scott Siad vice president. Holy shit. Think about that before you go to bed. Nah, don't even think about it. You won't sleep. You wouldn't sleep knowing that Kamala could have been president and Tim Walz, of all people, could have been vice president and maybe had to run for president because it would have been a whole different ballgame. You know? You'll never see it now. Never. But thank God. And speaking of God, going to church, whether you believe in God or not, you don't ever. Even CNN said that, going to church. The FACE Act, 1994, federal law. Stay away from the church unless you're going in there to worship and pray. And they were outside the church. They shouldn't have been outside either. Yelling and screaming, going in and putting the mic and scaring kids and grandmoms and grandfathers and husbands and wives who are there to pray. Bullshit. Should never happen. Let me just say, Paul's, I think we had a donation come in. Paul, thank you. Appreciate the donation. High five, fist bump to you. You rock. I appreciate it. Should never happen. Not even going to show it anymore, but if you want to see it, it's all over YouTube. You can go back on this live about an hour ago. Don Lemon was in there too. Oh, he was just as guilty. He said, I was just a gay black man. Why are you taking it out on me? Well, the gay black man went into church, and he didn't go in to pray. He went in to riot and attack a pastor and people, along with William Kelly and others. And they said, come get me. They say, come get me. They told Pam Bondi, come get me. I want to be arrested. Well, they got their wish. So be careful what you ask for. You will get it sometimes. So it's nice to see, like I was telling our loyal subscriber earlier, Paul, as they can finally arrest these idiots. These idiots. Call them idiots. Bama's in the house. Welcome in, Bama. Now, I'm crossing my arms, not because I'm unsure of myself. The temperatures are dropping here in Las Vegas. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. And also, on another topic, off topic, prayers and thoughts. We have a major snowstorm back east, Midwest. Woo! You guys ever go watch some of those lives? Support their channels. You know, those guys, there's meteorologists driving around. You know, that's hard work. I love watching that before I go to bed, you know, in the snow. I just don't want to be driving and all that. But anybody who's in those states and city, be safe. Lots of snow and ice and freezing temperatures. Arkansas. What's going on in Arkansas? Any snow in Arkansas? God bless Arkansas. All right, a few more. I'll pull out a few more, I promise. That makes some kind of sense. Oh, Cherry Hill, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. Always good to see you on here. Always good to see you. We got some Trump 28s in here. We got some MAGA in here. We got some moderate Democrats in here. We got some independents in here. And then we got some radical craziness in here sometimes. But that's okay. I can see why some people are hypnotized. Knox, Indiana. Huh? Where's that at? Did I pronounce it right? Knox, Indiana? Hey, shout out to Indiana, man. Woo! They kicked some ass this year. Whoa! Somebody says I'll go to hell. How do you know I'll go to hell? How do you know? You're just guessing. Hoosiers. Yeah, man, they had a good football team. Great. Good coach. Great coach. Good quarterback. Good team. Leader. That's why they won. They had a leadership, right? Amen, Paul. Amen, man. Massachusetts. I'm a moderate Florida Republican. Happy. Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Thanks for letting us know you're in here. Haters. Oh, yeah. It's okay. Got to have haters. Capitalism. Mexico City. Ron Paul, Revolution. That's a name I haven't heard from in a while. Ron Paul. All right. Losers hate winners. Yeah. Some crazy. Yeah, we have a great audience in here, huh? Boy, I got to tell you. Let me ask you this. How many real mega we have in here? I mean, real make America great again. Real mega, huh? That you'll just stand behind great leadership. How many do we have, huh? How many? How many? Now, you see me going like this because these messages are flying in. Some are kind of funny. Some of the haters, it's kind of funny. I'll give them that. Some are kind of funny. And some are not funny. Some are just nuts. Probably like a 7-year-old who's on here doesn't belong on here. Or, I say this before, like a broken record, somebody who's 65, 70 year on here that just never grew up. Somebody who's been bullied in school their whole life, you know? Somebody's just been bullied. It's not their fault, ladies and gentlemen. They've been bullied. You know, in high school in the 60s and 70s, and they got hammered and punched on, and they got back up and been bullied again and never fought back. And that's that. Yeah. I mean, that's it. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. That's it with the Democrat Party. That's really it with the party, among other things. All right, guys. Thank you so very much. 377 likes. Thank you all for the donations and the memberships. Thank you, moderators, for being here from the beginning to the end. Prayers with Lemon J. Our moderator has been ill and get better soon. Prayers with J.D. Vance, our Vice President, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, and, of course, our President, Donald Trump. Prayers that Minneapolis wakes up. I doubt it. And hope that justice is done on Mr. Don Lemon. Look, I'm not here to crucify the guy. I don't think he should be in prison for the rest of his life, but certainly should be held responsible, yes or no, for going into that church. He used bad judgment. I'm sure He's a decent man. But once again, you use bad judgment and you go into worship a church and get in the face of a pastor. I'm sorry. Justice needs to be done. I'm not saying life in prison. He didn't like kill anybody, but he certainly belongs in jail or at least closer look at, along with some of these other idiots. I'm sorry. It's not right. He wouldn't like it if he was in church and he's praying or focusing on the pastor. If somebody walked in, I'm sure Don Lemon wouldn't like it, right? Yes or no? He would not like it. I'm sure he'd be the first one to stand up and say, hey, so he used bad judgment. And I don't care if the judge is married to a family member or a prosecutor. I don't give a shit. I don't care if the guy was white. I don't care if he was Italian. I don't care if he was Republican. You don't do it. And that's that. So let's hope that these people, that there's more arrests. I'm hoping, and there will be. Let the party start. Get these people behind bars. Because you know what? At the end of the day, if we don't do that, if you have kids and they steal candy, or like myself, I broke a window when I was young. If my father didn't hit upside my head and whip my ass, which I'm not saying to do that. Back then, they did that. Now it's child abuse, so don't do that. I'd probably still be breaking windows. So if you don't set an example and teach these people, even though some of them are in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and above, if you don't set an example and put those people behind bars for some period of time, 5 years, 2 years, 10 years. I don't know if 10 years is too much. I don't know, maybe. If you don't do that, it's not going to teach them a lesson. This hopefully will teach them a lesson and they'll think twice. It's not about making them a Republican. It's not about making them a MAGA. It's not even about changing their mind, but it'll change their mind about interfering with ICE and going into worship into church. You're breaking the law. So hopefully justice is done. All right. I'll read three or four more, and then I'm not going to read that one. We already discussed that one. We discussed that one as well. Thank you all, Trump supporters. Thank you all are on here. All right. Let's see. We got any good comments to read here? Anything that I want to pull out that is pretty good on either side, on either way. Either way. Okay. What? Sorry, I'm shaking my head. Somebody. Shout out to Captain Max. Captain Max, who's behind the scenes, our real security. Right. Let's see here. We got Donald Trump. Anything? All right. So I tell you, I'll just say this one time only. January 6th, there was one person who was an instigator in the whole thing, and that person's name was a female who's retiring soon, and that woman's name is a piece of shit, not a real Italian. Her name is Nancy Pelosi. All right? I said it. Thank God she's retiring. God's always in control. I see some gods on here. God's always in control. Thank you, Palon. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, my friend. All right. Stupid loser got arrested. You're referring to William Kelly? Yep. He got out of control. Yep. As far as Gavin Newsom, we'll pull that comment out. At 28, a 0% chance. All right. He tries to be a tough guy. He has no knowledge. He can't. If you weren't on here, the fraud's going to be exposed in California. He doesn't care. He made it clear he doesn't care about anybody in California, let alone being a president of the United States. He'll be another terrible disaster. So name somebody else, but he has no chance. All right. Lemon is a loser. My lemons on my tree, man, they're good. But yeah, Don Lemon is a loser. And he's probably closing his door tonight in bed saying, what the hell did I do? Michelle Obama, 0.0%. Shapiro is good. Yeah, Josh Shapiro. I mean, I wouldn't vote for him in Pennsylvania. And it's a shame what they did to him, you know, with his house. Remember, I don't forget anything. It was wrong. He has common sense. He's a moderate. They won't let him win, though. Whoever said that, they won't want to let him win because he said some things that he, one or two things that he said he was okay with Trump. And with that, all he has to say is one thing. All he has to say is Trump did this good, or any of them, they're off the list. But yeah, I mean, he's probably the only one, but they won't pick him. Not because he's Jewish, because he's not part of that so-called cult. You know, so, but yeah. All right. It's unfortunate if you're a Democrat because, you know, and he's not even close, Josh Shapiro, in the category of Trump. But if there was any hope, but they won't let him. Because he's made it publicly that he supported Trump. I think it was the immigration. And, you know, he also had some thoughts on health care, but they didn't want to listen to him. So, all right, let's see here. One more comment I'll pull out. One more. Now, Bernie Sanders, he's done. He's old. But I've always said this about Bernie Sanders. He always had energy. He believes in his own bullshit, so I will give him that. But no, he's done. Socialist. But he did have energy. I always like to find some good stuff. He had energy at the time. All right. So I think that's going to be about it, guys. We're going to give it... I'm going to give it 2 minutes for everybody who was interacting with each other. If you guys want to say goodnight to each other. Once again, I'm Sal. Appreciate you guys coming in. We hit 398 likes. We didn't quite hit 400. We were 2 off, but we got very close. But we got great support once again. Thank you so very much. We're a small YouTube channel. At the end of the day, if I didn't tell you, is we help out the homeless here. We don't care if they're a Democrat. We don't care if they're Republican. We don't care if they're white or black or gay. We're going to help them out and feed them because it breaks my heart to see people struggling. And we got to do much more on both sides to help out struggling Americans, particularly our veterans in the United States of America. So thank you so very much. We did hit 400, went over. We crushed 400 likes. We're a small YouTube channel. We're going to continue to help out. It's not about me. It's about helping out the people that are homeless. And it's about the common sense of America to keep us safe and common sense. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. And Trump is not perfect, but he's pretty damn close. And he's a hell of a lot better than what we had for the last 4 years run by Barack Obama, okay, Elizabeth Warren, and yes, I will say Biden for 1 day. That was it. We are in a better shape now. And may God bless our ICE agents. Think about it. Men and women who are Democrats and Republicans out there risking their life to have these fools and idiots interfere. With that said, guys, thank you. It's always a pleasure. We appreciate everybody, even the trolls. We thank yous all because you do help out the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you check out your favorite YouTube channels and help them out with a like. I'm out of here. Have a good night, guys. Take care. Good night. Have a great weekend if I don't see you tomorrow, but we will be live tomorrow. If I don't, have a fantastic weekend. Great football games on Sunday. Goodbye. Great games on Sunday. Great games. Great games on Sunday.